Hello everyone and welcome to the ethical debate about Blackballed Incorporated's 2020 confidentiality breach. Defining confidentiality. According to the Dictionary of Ethical and Legal Terms and Issues, the essential guide for mental health professionals, confidentiality can be defined as the requirement, with some exceptions, that practitioners would not reveal to others the content of the information communicated by the client or held by the company of the client. For example, medical records, legal documents, anything that is entrusted into your possession, anything that you are entrusted to hold, protect, and have. Blackballed Incorporated, during the year of 2020, experienced a data breach to which hackers was in their system for almost well over 1,000 days before it publicly became knowledge. During that time, the hackers stole over 100,000 individuals' information, credit cards, medical records, personal information, addresses, everything that the company had been entrusted by its customers. Blackballed is a third party, which is a cloud service provider. It is used by smaller companies such as nonprofits, medical, doctors, other individuals like that to hold their data in the cloud. Since the hack, Blackballed is facing multiple class action suits in the United States and in Europe, with accusations ranging from neglecting their own security protocols, policies, and failing to promptly notify the clients and the authorities of the data breaches. There is a simple ethical dilemma behind here. Blackballed Incorporated did keep the clients and customers in the knowledge publicly. They were transparent once they came out with the knowledge. However, they did delay coming out with the knowledge. Accused of failing to properly train their own employees. Several people have accused them of failing to properly have the certifications and security backgrounds for the individuals over their systems. Failure to implement the necessary security protocols and upholding them. While this was not a physical data breach on their property, this was a virtual data breach that someone reached out and was able to get into their systems from another country, from another continent, from another remote location. So they needed the proper routers, the proper security, the proper cybersecurity there in order to prevent the data breach. And while you can never prevent a data breach or a cybersecurity threat, you can only minimize it. They are being accused of failing to minimize the possible threats. Blackballed Incorporated also violated their own codes of conduct on their website, which includes the computer resources and email and confidentiality, privacy, and information security and subcodes. They failed to upload their own policies, their own code of ethics. Violations of various state laws, including notifications of cases of confidentiality breaches in the United States. As soon as a breach is suspected or verified, you're supposed to notify HIPAA. In Europe, you're supposed to notify the GDPR within 72 hours. They failed to notify them. They actually held it for a couple months. Again, failure to timely notify the customers and the public of the break in confidentiality as per HIPAA and the high-tech laws of the United States, and failure to promptly notify the appropriate authorities and to report and make public the breach according to the GDPR rules in Europe. One of the potential solutions and some of the impacts is educating employees for employee awareness. Tampering with credentials, employees using other people's credentials. Use your friend sitting off to the side. Just because she's your coworker does not mean you're supposed to be able to use her username and password in order to be able to access things. My wife, for example, works in the medical field. Using someone else's credentials in order to log in is an immediate termination. No questions asked. If you're suspected, you're out the door. Selling of data. It's actually known that around 18% of individuals, when surveyed, would testify or would sell confidential company information such as medical records, addresses, emails, stuff like that of their clients to others, even though it's illegal. Checks and balances. Just because you have the system set up, you need to be able to monitor and you need to be able to check it, make sure it's working properly. A lot of companies will employ third parties to come in and test their security. There is plenty of videos out there talking about how you can hire a third party. They come in, they try to hack the company. They check it from a virtual standpoint, from an internet standpoint, and then they turn around and they check it from a physical standpoint. I know one example that comes to mind was a company that wanted to test its security, see if somebody could get into their building, see if somebody could get into their network. And 3 days into the project, after watching them, they simply walked in the door behind another employee because they were wearing a badge that was turned over upside down. One of their own employees let them in the door. Continuous network monitoring, locking down of systems, USB, removable drives, CD burners, DVD burners. I know CD burners and DVD burners are kind of a thing of the past, but USB drives. How easy is it to be able to save those documents to a USB drive and turn around and walk out of the building with it? You always check coming in with metal detectors, but are you ever checked going out? Scheduling of changing passwords. We fuss because here at DeVry, your passwords have to change every 90 days for your email, your Canvas, your website, stuff like that. But it is a good security policy, and sometimes I implement them even shorter times than that on my customers. I've even got customers that change passwords every 15 days, and they cannot use any of the previous 5 passwords. They love me, they hate me, but they're secure. Other potential solutions is putting together a security incident response plan, conducting risk assessment, identifying your cyber vulnerabilities, deciding when and where to raise the alarm. What counts as a hack? What is what when should I raise the red flag? Develop a detection plan. How are you going to detect it? Gather your team. Who will be involved? Do you need to bring in outside people, outside resources, outside companies, third parties? Who is going to be involved in the detection and in the threat? Inventory your assets and your resources. Know what tools you have available to you. Know when you need to pull them. Plan your incident response. Plan it down to a T. Know what's going to happen. Have a game plan. Everybody always talks about game plans. In football, you don't just run out there on the field and expect to kick the ball. You have a plan. Draft your communications ahead of time. There's no reason why you can't have a preview news notification, something, a letter, something out there that all you have to do is go in and fill in the blanks and send it out. Create a cybersecurity event log template, especially if you're in the legal field. And you're doing cybersecurity or you're doing any type of cyber forensics. Documentation is key. It is number one. Having the event log templates, knowing time, dates, time and date stamps, every individual item, how everything played together, and in the order that stuff came in. And then remaining vigilant to threats. In cybersecurity, the first thing that they teach us is there is no such thing as being completely safe. You are never 100%. You will always have threats out there and you will always have vulnerabilities. And one of the things that you're doing is you're minimizing the attack surface to where instead of you being, let's say your attack surface is the size of a football field and you have all these vulnerabilities and all these doors that hackers could get into, you minimize it to as small as possible to where individuals have a limited access. They have access to just the resources they need. They have access to just the services they need. And therefore, hackers also have a smaller window to which they were able to get in and possibly steal information. Applying different solutions. There is many different solutions that can be applied. Blackbaud Incorporated needs to address how they failed to follow their own code of ethics first. There's no use in a company putting up a code of ethics on their website and posting it if they're not going to follow it. Focus on that first. Focus on what the meaning of your company is first, and then go from there. They need to reevaluate the timely response and address the future changes. What did we do wrong? How can we change this in the future? What happened here? Address those to where you learn from your mistakes. We are human. We make our mistakes, and computers are the same way, especially in cybersecurity. Computers learn from humans. We program them. We make mistakes. Strengthen the network security policies and monitoring. Implement new policies. Strengthen the policies you have. Implement new hardware. Implement new monitoring technologies. Things are changing every single day. This is 2021. Software that was top of the line or the latest, greatest last year is 3 versions old. There's always something newer, and you always have to have that evolution there in order to survive. Increase the transparency with the public and sharing the policies, internal audits, additional information. That comes to say, Blackbaud did not use that level of transparency at first to their advantage. Therefore, they lost trust in the public, or trust from the public. Really, their reputation is tarnished, and they need to rekindle that. They need to work on that. They need to rebuild it. How can you prevent it from repeating? Well, simple. Update your policies. Strengthen your network. Train your employees better. Improperly monitoring of your network. And timely response to incidents. All of these 5 things are things that every company should be working on, whether they've been in a data breach or not. It is the fundamentals of surviving the cyber life. It is the fundamentals of surviving being online and having a cyber or an internet presence. With that being said, Blackbaud is facing many class action lawsuits both in the United States and in Europe. With no resolution yet, it's hard to speculate on the future of Blackbaud Incorporated. I can tell you one thing though, Blackbaud Incorporated is not going anywhere anytime soon. They are a major player in the cloud and cloud-based systems online, along with Amazon, Google, Microsoft. They're a major player. And with that being said, their reputation is tarnished. They are suffering, but they're not going to go anywhere. They're not looking at closing their doors. They will still be a major player for years to come. It is time, though, for Blackbaud to regroup, evaluate the policies, and learn from their mistakes on what they did in this previous year, and strengthen their network, and strengthen their security, and strengthen their protocols and policies going forward. You got to learn from your mistakes, people. And that's it with the wrap up of just my reference pages. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed everything. Visit my website. I have a lot of good information out there on it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Blackbaud Incorporated. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good weekend and a happy 4th of July.